It never happens at a good time. The pipe bursts at midnight. The heater quits on the coldest night. Suddenly, you're overwhelmed. That's when HomeServe is here. For $4.99 a month, you're never alone. Just call their 24/7 hotline and a local pro is on the way. Trusted by millions, HomeServe delivers peace of mind when you need it most. For plans starting at just $4.99 a month, go to homeserve.com. That's homeserve.com. Not available everywhere. Most plans range between $4.99 to $11.99 a month your first year. Terms apply on covered repairs.
Welcome to Seeing with Your Soul, a safe and sacred place to be vulnerable, to be transparent, to be authentic. I am your host, Tisha Michelle. From the deep pain and loss of my best friend Gloria, I realized she gave me the greatest gift ever, remembering my purpose in life, which is to help connect you to your authentic self, guide you to remember your purpose, and remind you that your current circumstance doesn't define who you are. Join me as we heal, align, and glow together. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Seeing with Your Soul. I'm your host, Tisha Michelle. So, quick announcement. If you have been listening to this podcast or you follow me on social media, you know that a couple months ago, I launched my own TV network, which is HAG TV, which stands for Heal, Align, and Glow. Yes. Right now, this network is on Roku devices. So if you have a Roku streaming device or the Roku TV, you can just go to add channel and type in HAG TV and it will come up there. You can also go to hagmediaproductions.com. and you can access all the content from the website there as well. I will be adding on the other ones like Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, as well as our very own app in the Google Play Store as well as iTunes. But I will be making those announcements as we launch over onto other platforms. However, I am in search of some content contributors. Like, what's up, guys? If you've ever even really thought about having your stuff on TV and maybe you want to move away from the YouTubes and the IGTV, which nothing is wrong with that at all, but you want to just get your reach to a whole other avenue. And Roku right now, they're actually the top streaming, which is surprising. I really thought it would have been Apple, but that's probably because I love like Apple products. So, but it's actually Roku, and that's 44 million. I think it's like 44.5 million homes. So when your content is on my channel, you're actually in the homes of, 44 million people. And does that mean that 44 million people will be watching HAG? That'd be dope. But shit, if just 1% did, like, that's a whole different, avenue of getting a reach, of getting your content out there. So again, I'm seeking some content contributors. You can send me a DM. Just go to my Instagram, Mindset Slayer, and just say you want some information on the network, and I can provide you with everything that you need. So we have some pretty dope people on there now. We have Jamie Dawn of jamiedawn.com. She is actually like an international psychic, intuitive advisor. She's an astrologer. She's so dope. And she's also one of the people that I lean on when I need a little something in my life and need to get my life together. That's who I call. We have Janae that's on there, and she is a certified hypnotist. So she talks about hypnosis on there. She talks about how, like our relationships, and the most important relationship that you will have is with yourself. So she talks about, coming from that standpoint of really mainly like, what is it? Self-love, self-love. So we have me, of course, Tisha Michelle. I got a little something on there, and I got something pretty big that I'm working on launching, my talk show, which will be on my network, which makes sense, right? So that will be coming. I'm not even going to say when, because it's in the works, but it'll be on there soon. I probably should put a date out there because it'll probably push me to go even further. Okay, so we also have content from Narinia. So she is a business and health coach, and she's like helping you with your mindset, like with your dream business, personal development, just like reaching your like definition of success. So that way you can be in align with like who you are. She's an expert on gut health. And, everything starts in the stomach, right? So, she talks about from that aspect too of being able to heal yourself in there too. So, and she's actually in Germany, which is so dope. Like, I have a content contributor that's like in Germany, and like, I don't know, it's so cool. So we have a couple of other people who will be launching in November and December. And then I just had someone else reach out to me. They're going to be, they're getting set up, and they're all about mothers, like you could be a mom and you could still make bank, so they're going to be bringing their show to the network in January or February of next year. So they're doing a lot of like their filming of their content. We have someone else who just came on board, Alex Woody Woodrow. He's dope. He's in a rock band. He's a best-selling author. Just killing it in there. But he puts that twist to it because he brings a lot of the mindset, he brings a lot of the yoga, the meditation. So when you would like, see, you think like rock band, like what? But like looks could be deceiving, right? So he's coming to us in there. So his stuff will be on there in about a week or two. It'll be live on the network. So yeah. So if you, like I said, are interested and you want to like get yourself, into a whole different ball game, have yourself on TV, that people are going to be sitting in the comfort of their homes on their television and listening to you. This is also really great because 3 of the people that are going to be launching in the next couple of months actually have podcasts, right? So they have their podcast, but they want to actually take it to the video as well. So they're killing 2 birds with one stone. They already have their podcast, but now they're just going to be filming it, and they want to have that on there too. So if you have a podcast, you can also, take that and have your channel on my network. So yeah. So I just wanted to put that out there. So if you are interested, again, just send me a message. Just go to Mindset Slayer, or you can go to, on Instagram, it's Hag TV Network, and you can send a message there and someone will get back to you with more information, or pass the information along to someone else that you think that, this may be a good opportunity for them. And so we love referrals. So yeah, so that's that, right? Okay, so let's get into a little bit of gratitude, right? So in this moment, I am grateful for, what am I grateful for? I'm grateful for so many things, but I love to especially when I'm recording a podcast, I really love to dig a little deep than the basic things. But I can say that I do want to actually express gratitude for just my basic needs being met for me and my children. And I want to say that because there's been times in my life before where those needs weren't met, or I was not sure how I was going to be able to take care of just the basic necessities. And so I always want to count my blessings for that, because I know how it is to not have some of those things that are our basic needs, and it's not a good feeling. So I want to, send a lot of gratitude and thankfulness for knowing that I was able to wake up somewhere safe. I do have clothes. I do have food, right? I do have water. I don't really drink water, but I have access to plenty of water, me and my children. So I'm very grateful and thankful for that. So now it's your turn to express, what it is that you are grateful for. I always like to walk you guys through connecting and just getting yourself grounding, through our deep breaths. So before I record a podcast, I always do a quick meditation, and I do my deep breaths and I set some intentions, and then I get started. So I just want to invite you guys in to just, let's get grounded. So unless you are driving, I just want you to go ahead and just, get a little comfortable. And we're just going to take a couple of nice deep breaths. So I want you to take a nice long deep breath by breathing in through your nose and just exhaling out through your mouth. Again, a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Last one, a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. So before we get started, or before you even, express what it is that you're grateful for in this present moment, I want you to notice that when you were taking your deep breath, where did you start to feel a lot of tension at? Where did you start to feel like maybe you just really loosened up? for me, it was definitely my shoulders, like the more in the neck area. So, because I took the deep breaths with you guys. So when I took it, I could feel a lot of tension that's in there. And it wasn't really so much that I felt like, how do I explain it? Like a lot of tension, but I felt that I was just tensed up. Like I couldn't, oh, that's what it is. Like I couldn't relax. Like I just couldn't relax my body, right? And that lets me know that I'm really holding tight. What am I holding tight to? And then I start to dig a little bit deeper within myself. Like, what am I holding tight onto? Like, where am I in my life? I'm having a hard time just releasing and letting go, because our body lets us know a lot about what's going on. So I want you just to pay a little bit of attention to, where you were feeling any tense or any tightness or whatever it may be in your body. And you can go ahead and pause this and just do a couple of more, deep breaths and setting the intentions to release whatever it is that you're holding on to that's showing up physically, like in your body. And you can do this at any time. I notice when I go, some of you may know if you've been listening to me before, that I had surgery on my shoulder. So I'm in physical therapy. And when he grabs like my shoulder and he's doing like the stretching of it, he'll hold with one hand, he'll hold like my arm and my hand area, and he'll always take it and wiggle it every now and then. But he's doing that to let me know to relax, because I'm not even really realizing it. But subconsciously, I'm tightening, I'm tensing up, because in my mind, I'm already predicting that when he moves my arm, it's going to hurt. Right. So I'm not even in the present moment, because in the present moment, nothing is hurting me. But I'm jumping into the future and I'm saying like, oh, it's going to hurt. So let me just lock myself up, which actually makes it even worse. Like, because now that I'm not relaxed, I'm so tense, and him moving it is making it hurt even more. But it ends up being a natural thing that we do, where we tense up, we tense our bodies, because we're just not relaxing. We're just not present. We're always on the go, feeling like something is going to happen, or something's not going to be good, or something's going to hurt us. So we just really tense up in our body. But if we can bring ourselves back into the present moment and ground ourselves, which an excellent way is through breathing, doing this breath work, right? Then we can relax ourselves and we can remind ourselves that we are loved, we are safe, we are protected, and everything right now is okay. Y'all feel me? So now I want you guys to get that out. I want you guys to let me know what it is that you are grateful for. And while I'm not hearing you guys, I just want to tune into that energy, just knowing that you guys are expressing this love. So you're just letting me know that, like, no matter what it is that's going on in your life, you are still truly grateful and you are thankful for so much that is going on in your life. So say it out loud, say it in your head, write it in your journal. Shit, you can send me a message on Instagram and just say, hey, I was listening to the podcast, and in this present moment, this is what I'm grateful for. Love it. Love it. People send me that, and it'll be in like random like times, right? Because everybody's listening at different times. And then it just always makes me happy. And I'm like, yes. And sometimes, guys, some of the things that you all send me, it sparks something within me. And it's like a perfect timing within me. It's kind of like a reminder for something in my life. And I'm just so grateful. And I always express that and let you guys know that when you've done that. So, yeah. Okay. So gratitude. Like, kind of sound like a broken record, but it's all good. I'm gonna keep being that broken record. Every time we express like gratitude, like we just welcome more into our life. Like we welcome more into our life. A lot of times, like I'll hear people say, well, at least be grateful that you got that. Be grateful that you got that. And I think it kind of takes away from us expressing our gratitude. It doesn't mean forget about the things that are going on in your life and the things that might not be working the way that you wanted it to work. But it's more of just about just saying, yeah, I acknowledge I have those things that's going on in my life. You know what? But I'm going to not let that define me. And I'm going to check in with my life, and I'm going to scan through, and I'm going to really see how blessed I am. And when I'm, practicing that gratitude and seeing how blessed that I am, I know that I'll overcome the things that's going on in my life. So that's really what it's about. Just, reminding yourself of that inner strength, reminding yourself of how blessed you are. And you're able to see the miracles and the beauty, even when you're in a dark time. And then when you look at those dark times, you don't look at them as like awful. You look at those are blessings as well, too, because it's teaching you something. It's teaching you something. And when our soul decided to incarnate here on this time, here, you know, in this present moment, it's because we wanted to evolve and we wanted to grow. We wanted to get a higher understanding and ultimately operate from a place of love. And that has to happen through experiences. And sometimes those experiences are very painful. But there's miracles and there's beauty in it, and it allows us to grow as an individual. So, yeah. All right. So today, what I want to talk to you guys about, you know, it's always something sparking. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a podcast. I want to talk about this with my peoples, right? So I was listening to another podcast, Earn Your Leisure. Dope podcast. Like, they're just dope. They talk about like just, you know, financial literacy, economics, wealth, and it's all really around it. And they interview a lot of people that's in so many different industries, and they're just bringing you like just teachings and just like so many opportunities that are out here for us to educate ourselves as well as to build wealth. So I was listening to this podcast this morning, and it was actually episode 99 if you want to check it out. So it was with, I think her name is Jasmine, and she has this company called Goodr, and it's GOODR, and I believe she said that they were in like 9 states. So it's all around like eliminating like food waste. So one of the studies that they looked up, they did like a Google search, and they said that there's 72 billion pounds of food that end up in landfills every year. And that's just only coming, that's not from us throwing away food. That's just coming from like grocery stores and distribution centers and restaurants that they get rid of. So it makes you think like, yo, we don't have a fucking food problem. We got a human problem. It's not a lack of food and like people going hungry and stuff, because there's plenty of food, plenty of land that could be used for farming to be able to grow. And so we don't have that. That's not the problem where it's like, oh, we got to end world hunger. No, it's a human problem. It's a human problem. But anyhow, so this lady seen that, and she started this company. So it's not a nonprofit. Because she does it for profit, but she's still able to, it's something she's passionate about, but also being able to profit. And she goes to these companies that were getting rid of the food anyway, and she's just getting the food, and she's feeding people. And it's so dope. Like, really, honestly, just go listen to it, because I don't want to give it all away. But it's Earn Your Leisure is the podcast, and it was episode 99. So anyhow, I was walking the track with my aunt this morning, and we were talking about politics, right? Talking about the debate and, you know, the two people we got that we have to choose from. And I was like, you know, just talking about like, yeah, but America put them there. Like, it's crazy of how many millions of people we have here. And those are the two that we come to. And we were just really talking about that. And then somehow, I guess we started talking about Bernie Sanders or whatever. I really don't remember what really triggered it. But I told her, I was like, yeah, I was listening to this podcast this morning, and it was crazy, the number, the 72 billion pounds of food that end up in landfills every single year. And that was not including us as individuals, how much food we throw away and we waste, right? So I was telling her that. So then she's told me that she went to go work for Panera. And this was a long time ago. And when she went to work for Panera, she said she worked one day, and she said it was towards the end of her shift, and it was all of this bread, and she was like training or whatever, that she asked the lady, she said, so what are we doing with all of this? She said, what are we doing with all of this bread? And then the lady was like, oh, we got to throw it away. She was like, what? She was like, they're just going to throw away all of this bread versus taking it to the shelters or go hand it out to like the homeless. And the lady was like, the work there, she was just like, yeah, she was like, but you know, sometimes like I'll sneak and I'll take a lot of it and I'll go take it over to the shelter. But yeah, that's our protocol. That's what we're to do. We're to throw it away. So mom was like, I quit. That's what she said. She was like, I quit. She's like, they didn't even pay me for that one day. And I'm like, they need to pay you for that one day. But she was like, I quit. She's like, I didn't want to be a part of Panera that takes all this food, you know, this bread at the end of the day, and it was like pastries and stuff, and just throw it away where they could take it somewhere. She's like, I don't want to be a part of that shit. So she quit. So then she said she was working she went to go work at a nursing home, and the nursing home, they had like a lot of diabetics. So if you know anything about being like a diabetic, then you kind of really avoid like sugar, right? Having the stuff. So you do a lot of sugar-free things, right? So she said that they were going to give the food, doing like the dining hall, the people there their food. And she said to the girl that was working with her, or I don't know if she was training her or working with her, whatever. But she said to her, she was like, they're diabetics. And it says that they have a diabetic diet. She was like, so I can't give these cookies. And she said the lady was like, well, we don't have any diabetic cookies. This is all we got. So we're just going to give this to them. And she was like, my mom was like, I quit there too. She was like, I don't want to be a part of, a company or a place that doesn't care about the elderly and care about people who are diabetic, and you're just going to give them sugar. She's like, I don't want to be a part of giving them these cookies that has sugar in it, contributing to when I know that they have this illness, of diabetes. So I said to her, I was like, that's crazy. And I was like, well, here I go, right? I was like, but sometimes, when those things happen, it's not really meant for us to just like walk away from it and just only not be a part of it. Sometimes that's for us to, find a way to help, because we just seen there was a gap, and we just seen where there was like, you're throwing all this food away. Could you actually go somewhere else? What can I do to help? And she was like, well, that was a long time ago. She's like, so the only thing I was thinking of, at the nursing home part, she was like, was sticking it to that lady. So then she got to do all the work herself. She's like, that's all I cared about, sticking it to her, because that was some bullshit, right? She's like, now I will look a little different. And I was like, yeah. So with all that being said, it made me want to hop on here and really talk about that a lot of times we feel like called to do something, or something, will be put in an experience like my aunt was in 2 different cases, where she was put in a situation where she was shown something that just wasn't right, just didn't make any sense, because it doesn't make any sense. Just because you don't have any cookies that are diabetic doesn't mean that you have to give cookies that do have, they just don't get no damn cookies, right? That could be the case, right? And then, as far as with Panera, that them throwing all that food away, like, yeah, you don't want to be a part of that, but maybe this is where you're being pushed and called to help in that area, right? And because that's how sometimes it comes to us, right? So like a lot of times people are saying, they really want to know what their purpose here, like, in life. But the misconception is that they feel like their purpose is something that they go hard at 24/7, and they're making money from it. And that could be the case. But see, because all of us are individuals, everything looks a little bit different. So it's like this activism, comes from within. So with my aunt being placed into Panera, and so she's retired. She injured herself from when she was working for the schools, right? So this is just something to be like part-time to, for her to do. And she got put into there. So that could have been the opportunity, instead of her just quitting, where it was like, well, dang, this is really affecting me, because it affected her so much personally that she was basically like, fuck this job. I ain't going to be a part of your bullshit. Right. So that means for you to leave a job that you obviously you needed to get a job for whatever reason it was, but you quit that job because you didn't like how they were handling things, because that's how deeply you felt that homeless people or people in shelters could use this and they need it. Right. So sometimes we get put into a situation like that, and not for us to just be like, I don't want to support that, but I may not want to support this company, but also what can I do to help? Like, what can I do to help? Right. So now, does that mean that you have to go and do it for a living and you start this nonprofit organization that feeds people all over the world? No, unless you want to. You could be perfectly fine the way that your life is, but you're being pushed and called to help out in this other area where it could be you just volunteering. It could just be you volunteering once a week, and you go to, feed the homeless, like you make sandwiches. It could be coming out of your own pocket. Yeah. You could say, you know what, every week I'm going to spend, and I'm making this up, I'm going to spend $60 and I'm going to make sandwiches, right? I'm going to make sandwiches, get the little baggies, and I'm going to go to the neighborhood that's near me, the area where you see a lot of homeless people, and I'm going to hand out sandwiches. And that's okay. And that is your purpose. Your purpose is to be of service to others, right? You're still living your life. You still have your job. You still have your family. But this is something that you do. And that's very fulfilling for you. And then guess what? The other areas of your life really start to blossom. Really start to blossom. And you could be like, you know what? I really would love to just help the homeless, but I'm just paycheck to paycheck. But guess what? you really feel called to do it, you do it. And guess what? You will not go hungry yourself. That money that you put out to help them once a week or once a month, you're going to get that back even more. And we know you're not doing it for that. You're doing it because you're really feel like being called from like on a soul level to go and help in this area. And when we operate from a place of purpose, when we are feeding our soul, other areas of our life start to fall in place. Or then we have some people who their big calling is to do, it might be to start a nonprofit organization to help with, with homelessness, to, abuse like for children, elder abuse, whatever the case it may be. It may be something big that's for, that's part of your purpose or your calling. And that's okay also, but what I really want to just like drive in is to notice the experiences and like the situations you are being put in and how it makes you feel. Because that's where that activism comes in. It comes from within, right? There's just something about, like with my aunt, there was just something about Panera taking this bread and throwing it all away at the end of every day and not thinking to go and give it to there, that made her so upset that she was like, fuck y'all, I'm quitting. I don't want to be a part of this shit, right? Because that was something within her, right? That was like, yo, this is not right. I don't like this. Like, this is not right at all. So I want you to pay attention to when things like that happen. Or maybe you watch a commercial, right? And it talks about, feeding people in like the other countries and stuff like that people that need, like 35 cents a day, like those different things. How does that make you feel? And after you see that commercial, maybe you keep seeing other things that are popping up within there and you're just like, your heart just goes out to them. But for you feel like I want to help, but I can't help everyone. I can't afford to, do, $20 a month to go there. Like, I just really can't afford that. Right. And then what is that really going to do? Because sometimes we start to get those thoughts, but really and truly, yeah, we may see that commercial where they're talking about other countries and you live here in the States and there are kids here in the States who need help as well. Right. So it doesn't mean that you have to go and, give there, or you say, I can't do $20 a month for, a whole year or for the rest of my life because I just don't have it. And you know what? That is okay. That is okay if you can't. That is okay if you can't feed the whole world or service the whole. That is okay. You can start right in your neighborhood. So whatever that cause is that is feel like it's pulling to you, you just do what it is that you can. There may be another organization that's around you and you reach out to them and they say, yeah, every other Sunday we're at such and such and we can always use volunteers. Guess what? You could be a volunteer one of those Sundays. And that's you stepping in your purpose. That's you being of service and then letting that guide you from there, right? Let your soul, guide you to what's next. What else do I do? What else can I do? What am I really, really, really activating, that's within me? So again, we may not be able to service the whole world, but we can service one person. And that's okay. Because if you have 100,000 people who are feeling the calling on feeding children, right? Feeding children when they're not in school, making this up again, right? Feeding children when they're not in school, because a lot of kids rely on the lunch in school, right? Then we have Saturdays and Sundays. So if that's something that you were feeling called to, like, well, what about these kids that don't have anything on the weekends? Like, I want to help with that. Like, can I just, donate a little something, donate some food? Like, what can I do about that? Right. And you're like, well, yeah, there could be, 1 million kids. I don't even know these numbers. I'm just making this up. 1 million kids in your area that could benefit from it, but you're like, I'm one person. I cannot help all these people. But what if there's you plus 100,000 other people feeling the same calling at the same time, and all of you guys trust your intuition and follow your soul, and you all start to help children? Think about that effect in that aspect. And I know the numbers probably weren't that great, but you guys get what I'm saying. But, if every single person in the world really starts to go within and trust that feeling that's coming up, or that experience that made them be so upset that they were really willing to say, the hell with this job, the hell with that thing, because I don't like what you're doing, because we could do better for people in the world, for the homeless, for the elderly, for the children, who don't even know when they're going to be able to get another meal, right? So if we all started stepping up to whatever that thing is, maybe your call is with animals. Maybe your call is with nature, right? I don't know. Maybe your call is with people who have disabilities. Maybe your call is for the parents of children with disabilities who have a really, really hard time just being life itself, but on top of having to care for a child that needs extra care. Well, who's caring for them? Maybe you were in a place and you seen a mother have a meltdown because of how the child was acting, who really couldn't help it. And you just felt so sad and just so bad for her, or whatever that feeling is. Maybe you're being called to, offer something, offer some assistance, some type of support. I don't know. There's so many of us and so many people that are listening, and I don't know, but, that's where I feel like that activism portion comes from within us. So we have people who we see like these big people who are leading the way, especially when it's like with racism and, with systematic racism. And we have people like, Tamika Mallory. If you don't know who she is, look her up. She's a fucking dope ass soul. And every time I hear her speak, I literally get chills. And every time I hear her speak, I'm like, she is so walking in her purpose, knowing that it is dangerous. At any given time, somebody could kill her. And that's real talk. But she's stepping into her purpose, and her purpose, she's out there in the world. She's on the front line, she's all over. And she gave this one powerful speech, which I really, really, really felt like opened a lot of people up to her. And she was on a live. And I remember somebody said something about her powerful speech, and she was like, yeah, but it came with a lot of heat. She's like, it came with a lot of heat, but she's still stepping in it, and she's out there, right? So a lot of times, a lot of you want to feel something within you, but that scares you. And you're like, I don't want to be in the front line and stuff. And that's okay, because you might not be being called for that. What you're doing may look a little different. And that's okay. So sometimes people get scared because they're like, no, I don't want to be out there. I don't want to have this big, huge thing. And you don't have to. Just do your part, whatever that part is, whatever you feel like you are being drawn to, whatever you feel like you are being, called to do. You do it in the way that you want to do it. And whatever that looks like, just know that it's okay. Maybe you want to do backpacks for kids, and you use your own money, or you reach out to your family and it's something that your family wants to do. We used to do this for Christmas, right? Where we would donate money to St. Jude's in like my grandmother's name, right? Because my grandmother, died from cancer. So we would just get people, would just collect, the family, whoever wanted to donate like a minimum. I don't even remember. So my family, if you're listening and I say the wrong number, just know I'm just keeping it real. I don't really remember how much, but it would be like a minimum, say $10, right? And then everybody else can do whatever it is else they want. And then we would donate it there, right? That was us doing our part, right? We all might not have $10 a month to donate somewhere or to help so many people, but whatever we came up and we sent, like we had really pure intentions, right? So maybe you do this as a family with the kids, right? Maybe your kids, you start to teach your kids of being able to be of service, because it's one of the greatest feelings in the world, right? And you just, tell them, so we're going, I don't know, like maybe you take them to the dollar store and you say you can spend money on 5 things. You can get 5 things. But out of those 5 things, one of them has to be a school supply, right? For another kid. Okay. So they get 4 things, and you can do this however you want, right? You get 4 things, and the 5th one is some pencils or a notebook, right? So now you take those things that they've done, as well as whatever you want to get, and you can put it in a backpack. You can go up to your school, maybe your kid's school. Or if you don't even have any kids in the school, you go to a local school and say, hey, I want to donate a backpack and some supplies to a kid that needs it. Like, and there you go. And that's you serving. That's you, being of service and putting that, that out there. And that's great. And how did that make you feel? Did that spark something else within you? Do you want to go up to the local Panera and say, hey, what's up? Like, what are you going to do with this bread that you're getting ready to throw away at the end of the night? Can I have it? And then maybe use that bread and or bagels or whatever it is, and you walk straight from Panera and you go right to a shelter, or you go right to on the street and you hand it out. I don't know. But whatever is popping up to you as we are talking right now, right? Put a little bit of energy to it. Say, wow, as I'm listening to this is something I've always wanted to do, but I've just kind of been really afraid because I didn't really know where to start. I didn't really know, do I have enough time to do this, or whatever the case is? And you do, because it's coming up for a reason. It's coming up for a reason. And I always say, trust that, even if it doesn't make any logical sense, right? That's our intuition. It is ahead of the game, right? So, when I say like this activism within, what does that look like? Is it environmentalism? Is it socialism? Like whatever, it is like for you, but it's meaningful, right? And it's being of service to other people. So again, I want you guys to kind of really, one, for sure, pay attention to what's coming up for you right now, just listening to this. And then two, pay attention to certain experiences that make you really upset. Step back and say, why am I so upset over this? And have that conversation with yourself. Say, why is this making me so upset? Is this something that I'm to do, to help in? And instead of jumping to the big picture of things, just think about what you can do right now. Like, what is it that you can do right now? Yeah. So, child. For me, if you're anything like me, I had a whole bunch of things. I was like, oh my God, I just want to save the world. I just want to save the world. And nothing is wrong with feeling like you want to save the world, but we also got to be realistic. It's like 7 billion people, and we can't save everybody. And we're not even meant to. But what we can do is start here. What we can do is, even if it's in our family, we can start, within our family. Maybe there's someone in our family that needs that support and that help. Yeah. Or maybe, our family, we talk about things that we would love to do, but, we keep going about life and our business, and we don't really actually do anything because sometimes we feel like it's so far out of our reach. Maybe we can do this as a family thing, meaning like, mothers, fathers, aunts, uncles, cousins and stuff. Or maybe you can do it individually with you and your kids, whatever, that may be. I know my 9-year-old has this thing with homeless people. It makes him so sad. And he's like, give them money, Mom, give them money. Like always, like give them money. He always, whenever we see somebody homeless, he wants me to give them money. And I know that's something within him. I don't know, maybe he was homeless in another lifetime, right? And he still feels like that effect of it. Or maybe that's going to be a big thing that he's going to really be a part of helping to end this homelessness, or just contribute. I don't know. But from an early age, I think probably as far back as I can remember. So he's 9. So it may have been when he was like around 4. Yeah, maybe around 4, where he started that with me and his dad. So yeah, so that's something that's within him that started from younger. And what we ended up doing was and I did this with the family. And I reached out and I said, I want to do socks. So, some sent money and some went and picked up things. So we took the socks, and then the money that I had, I went and bought a toothbrush, toothpaste, razor, and what else did we put in there? I think that was all that I put in there. And then I put like $1 or like $2 like in each set and put them together. And we just randomly gave them out. So I left them in the car. And when we would see someone that I fairly felt drawn to and all, we would give them the socks. But inside the socks had the toothbrush. You know what I mean? So it just had the little stuff like that. But, you know, he was very involved in that. And now that I'm talking about it, I want to do that again. So note to self, do that again. That's why it came up, right? So just little things like that, you know, it makes us feel really good. And it does make you feel like you're playing your part and just helping. And if everybody could just play their part in whatever it is that they are feeling within, doesn't have to be on homeless. That might not be your thing, you know, and that's okay because it's somebody else's. So if everybody can just give in to those things that are coming up within us, like, can you imagine how we can shift the energy for the collective? Whoo! This is why I'm a firm believer. I'm like, look, if everybody just got to work on themselves, work on yourself. And if everybody's doing that, of course, that energy is going to shift. And something about being of service to other people. And again, whenever we are feeding our souls, other parts of our life starts to fall in place. So that's all that I got for you guys right now. Until next time, bye. Thanks for tuning in to #certified. If anything resonated with you, I would love to continue the conversation. You can follow me on Instagram @itistisha. And if you want to be a part of the #certified tribe, you can join my Facebook group by going to the search tab and putting in #certified. My website is conversationswithtisha.com. As always, have a great one on purpose. Love you.